People who took our land is white people. When we say we want our land, we don't want it from the sky. We want it from white people. So that's why we're saying we want our land from them. They've taken our land, and they've taken our land through a black genocide. We're not going to accept. Part of your revolutionary duty is to fight. And we're not ashamed. If the need arises for us to take up arms and fight, we'll fight.
Hello everybody, welcome once again to AfriPost. I believe wherever you're watching us from, you're doing great. Now in today's video, I want us to talk about Julius Malema, because I've always given you different videos of Malema, and I've told you that Julius Malema is not somebody you can just come and address as you want. Now there is this video by Al Jazeera where he had an interview with an Al Jazeera journalist, and the journalist did not really get some good time out of that discussion. I want us to watch this video and then comment about it entirely after the video. Kindly take a listen.
I don't have ambition of becoming a president. My ambition is to make the EFF a government of South Africa. And as to who becomes the president, the EFF will make that choice. I'm not into this thing for myself. I'm into this thing to put a party that has got the interest of black people at heart in power. People who took our land is white people. When we say we want our land, we don't want it from the sky. We want it from white people. So that's why we're saying we want our land from them. They've taken our land, and they've taken our land through a black genocide. Secondly, when I say black people must reproduce for sustainability of our ideas, it doesn't mean white people must not reproduce. If they want to reproduce, they are free to do that. All I'm saying to our people is that we are fighting for economic freedom. And for these ideas to be sustainable, we have to reproduce ourselves. Because the reproduction of ourselves means reproduction of our ideas. We are guaranteed longevity. We are guaranteed the legacy of what we are fighting about. So we're not going to accept. Part of your revolutionary duty is to fight. And we're not ashamed. If the need arises for us to take up arms and fight, we'll fight. This regime must respond peacefully to our demands, must respond constitutionally to our demands. And if they are going to respond violently, like they did in the township of Alexandra, just outside Johannesburg, when people said these results do not reflect the outcome of our votes, they sent the army to go and intimidate our people. We're not going to stand back. Zuma is not going to use the army to intimidate us. We're not scared of the army. We're not scared to fight. We'll fight.
Lest we find ourselves charged with misinterpreting your words. When you say you are willing to take up arms, that's what you said.
Literally.
Against the government.
Yeah, literally. I mean it literally. We were not scared. We're not going to have a government that disrespects the
And
government.
on what basis, what are the circumstances in
If
which
they,
you can imagine
if they respond violently to our peaceful protest,
you envisage reacting in self-defense?
We are a very peaceful organization.
Yes.
We fight our battles through peaceful means, through the courts, through parliament, through mass mobilization. We do that peacefully. But at times, government gets tempted to respond to such with violence. Yeah. They beat us up in parliament.
There's a long history of that.
And they send soldiers to places like Alexander where people are protesting and will run out of patience very soon. And will remove this government through a barrel of a gun.
You publicly held up the Constitution and said it was the EFF's Bible.
Absolutely, all of us must live by the Constitution.
Your economic program would seem to be, parts of it, expropriation without compensation, the nationalization of company shares, in breach of that Constitution.
Our Constitution allows expropriation.
Not without compensation.
But it doesn't say with compensation.
Well, it does. Section 25 of the Constitution, no one may be deprived of property except in terms of law. Law may not arbitrarily deprive people of property. Property may be expropriated with just and equitable compensation, mutually agreed or determined by the court.
Yes, we need to go to the Constitutional Court and stretch that constitutional clause, because there are areas where there is clear evidence that this land was taken by force from rightful people, and parties who are involved in this matter, they both agree that the land was unfairly taken from the people. Why compensate such a land? So we can go to the Constitutional Court and get such a declaratory order. And
in certain cases on the merits, but it doesn't allow you to have a sweeping economic program based on expropriation without compensation.
No. There, when you quote that constitution, it speaks about specific cases that if it happens, there must be justifiable, acceptable compensation. And I'm stretching it further and I'm saying to you, there could be instances where we expropriate without compensation in the same constitution. And secondly, that if the Constitutional Court makes a declaration that we have no such power, we can amend the Constitution, because our Constitution allows for amendment, and that must be done through 2/3 majority. And by doing that, for you to get 2/3 majority, you have to convince a population that this is a right direction.
You routinely dismiss questions about your wealth. How did you make your money?
Which one?
You don't have any?
My personal money? No, everyone knows about my money. You might not know, but everyone in South Africa, my money was in the news. My finances were in the newspapers.
Well, who paid for the who paid for the cars? Who pays for the watches? Who pays for the clothing?
All of that was declared in public. One is that the house I was building in Sandton was not built by me. It was a house that was built by a group of comrades. It was not an individual house. It was not my house, although the bond, it was in my name. It was a collective decision. And then the cars, let's talk about the Range Rover I used to drive. The owner of the Range Rover, he has passed away. He has since passed away. May his soul rest in peace. But when he was still alive, he went to the papers and said, this is my car. I borrowed it to him. I treat him like my son. I'm supporting him. I believe in his ideas. So all of that.
What about the watches, the clothing, the designer clothing?
No,
These are items of conspicuous consumption.
No, the
and
clothes are
wealth.
mine. I was working, I bought them.
I don't mean what you're wearing now. I mean what you are very famous for wearing in the
No, I
past.
was not going to walk naked. Even those clothes were mine.
Huge symbols of conspicuous
No,
wealth.
There's no conspicuous
Thousands of dollars worth of watches and
you are creating sensationalism.
No, I'm not.
There's no such thing
No,
as
I'm
thousands
not.
of
These
dollars.
are well documented.
It's thousands of rands. So rands and dollars are two different things. So you're being sensational because there's never been anyone who quantified if those clothes and watches are thousands of dollars. So you can't just throw and abuse this platform like that. So I used to wear my clothes the same way I'm wearing these ones. The difference was that I was presentable, and people confused a person who's presentable to be a person who's wearing expensive clothes. Some of the watches that I was wearing, I was given by comrades who I was very close with in the ANC. I've never bought a watch.
Wealthy comrades.
They are rich. In the ANC, they are rich people. They are rich black people.
And these were just gifts.
And they gave them to me because, you know, when you are a president of the Youth League, you got all sort of well-wishers.
And influence.
I don't have any influence. When you are a president of the Youth League, you don't have any influence. You are not in government. You don't have any influence. You are just a political figure who mobilizes the youth behind the vision of the ANC. That's the primary role. So you don't have any role that says you dish out tenders or you dish out businesses to anyone. There's no such a thing. So well-wishers are there. There are people who subscribe to our ideas and they don't want to see you fail. So I've never dressed more expensive things than what you appear to be dressing yourself. I've never been conspicuous like you, like the way you are now. So there's never been such a thing in my life.
Okay, touche. Good point. We're going to wrap it up now.
Sure.
Will you make a good president of this country one day, do you think? That's
Once he's in power,
not what I asked.
we're happy.
Would you make a good president? Julius Malema.
You be the judge.
Well, we'll only know afterwards, won't we?
You be the judge if I can make a good president. But like I said, that's not my ambition. That's why I'm not even preoccupied with answering that question in myself, whether I will make a good president or not, because I've got no such ambition. My ambition is to put a responsible party in power.
Julius Malema, thank you for speaking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you.
Now, if you've watched this video, you would note that Julius Malema is somebody who has grasped every serious issue that is affecting South Africa in his hands. He understands every topic that is relevant, and therefore he is somebody that anybody who is going to interview, you must be prepared. And in fact, if you're not ready to really interview him, he will be the one who is interviewing you, because you'd listen to how he's really addressing that journalist. He's telling him that you must give me space to really answer these questions. You must understand that even personalization of issues is not really acceptable. And as elections are coming up, it is really good for us as Africans to really watch how these things are going to pan out in South Africa, because we understand that the EFF party is really gearing to really focus on capturing presidency. In fact, there was a time when Julius Malema was asked about what he's doing right now and his plans to ensure that he remains the head of EFF party. And this is what he said. He said that he already has the map of the union building and is just looking at it to really familiarize himself with how the structures and the house is built, so that when he gets there, he just gets down to business. I don't know what you think about this video. Please, if you've really enjoyed it, remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.